Good morning, everyone. There's an air of expectancy in this room this morning. It's wonderful. We're expecting all this wonderful energy and love.
Well, today, as you no doubt see, we're talking. We could get tall. No. Today, as you can see, we're talking a little bit more about the hero's journey, and this is Shiva standing up for things, standing in our truth. And so we picked some songs that kind of will communicate that, I hope, and doing what we're called on to do.
And we're going to ask you to stand as we sing
Stand. And the words are right up there, and we're going to sing it
a little bit different.
4 times through. It's a very short song, so we're going to sing it 4 times through, but after the first 2 verses, we're going to kick it up 1 step. So it'll start like this, and then it'll go to so uplifting.
Yeah. So notice we change the words a little bit for today's service. I'm saying the truth. Say love. Let there be truth. I understand for truth. Let there be peace. I understand for peace. Let there be love. I understand for love. We are making a new world now. Let there be truth. I understand. Let there be peace. I understand for peace. I understand for love. We are making a new world now. Let there be truth.
Okay, here we go.
Let there be truth. I understand for truth. Let there be peace. I understand for peace. Let there be love. I understand for love. We are making a new world now. Let there be truth. I understand for truth. Let there be peace. I understand for peace. Let there be love. I understand for love. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. All right. Our next song takes down our tempo and settle our energy into our right where we are right now.
And this is doing what we're called to do.
Whatever spirit needs of me, I will need, I will need, I will need. Here I stand, my heart is here to serve. Wherever love is leading, I will go, I will go, I peace of me. I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand, my heart wherever love is leading me, I will go, I will go, I will go. A vessel whatever sphere needs of me, I will lead, I will lead, I will lead.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
morning.
Ambassador for Spiritual Living, I'm Reverend Steve Van Meter, your senior minister. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you here this morning. We've been expecting you. Thank you for not disappointing us. So I guess you guys had a substitute teacher last week.
And awesome.
And Jamaica, thank you so I could have some time away. And this afternoon, I leave for Silomar in Pacific Grove, California, Monterey area. This will be my 30th year to attend Silomar, which is incredible. 1993 when I went to my first Silomar. Somebody in the Glendale Church of Religious Science in California saw that I was a new person and they sponsored me to go to a Silomar. They said, you need to do this thing. I was like, Silomar? I've been to Silomar before. Silmar's a community adjacent to Southern California. And they said, no, us Silomar. That was a whole different thing. But we're glad that you made it here this morning. We know you have a lot of spiritual places you can be in consciousness, but you found yourself here. How's the temperature? We too hot? We too cold? We just about right? We're okay? Okay, I don't want to freeze anybody out. I don't want to sweat anybody out. I just want everybody to be perfect. So if it's too hot, go outside. If it's too cold, come in here.
Great new air conditioning.
Yes, we have brand new air conditioning and we're using it. But we're going to start with what we start every morning, which is reciting our vision mission statement, which is up on the screen. It says, we are an open, loving, spiritual community dedicated to evolving consciousness through teaching spiritual principles. And we have some announcements this morning. And my screen up here so I can read them with you. Do we have the, oh, there they are. Would you like to share your time and talent? GPCSL volunteer positions are available in the bookstore, the AV department, spiritual gardeners, kitchen angels, greeters. Sign up on the back counter back there if you would like to participate. Would you like to be a member if you're not already one? Membership has its privileges. New member applications are available in person in the seat backs in front of you or on our website at grantspasscsl.org. All new members are eligible to receive a 6-month digital subscription to the Science of Mind magazine, which is very cool. Center business, our center is always evolving to greater goodness. And divinely guided, Cindy Grondel, who's been our bookkeeper for the last 8 years, resigned as a bookkeeper last week for personal reasons. And we're very grateful for the years of hard work and service that Cindy has given. She was here before I was here and carried us through many transitions and our wonderful pandemic experience, which I call our CTE, our collective transformative experience that we're still experiencing to this day to a degree. I don't think any of us are the same people we were before we stepped into those masks and such. So our metaphysical book study continues Sunday mornings 9 to 9:45 in the conference room behind me, led by me, and the book we're studying is Living the Science of Mind, and we're getting to the end of it, so we're going to have to pick a new book for our book study. And finally, our meditation group continues to meet, facilitated by our practitioners for a 15-minute meditation in the conference room between 9:50 and 10:05. And if you'd like to join, just show up. Is that it? Is that all we got? Okay, well, we do have some other things. We have some membership certificates that we have started to put together for members who haven't gotten them yet. So I'm going to read some names of people who have not gotten their certificates yet or are new members. If you're a member who doesn't have a certificate or wants one, we're going to have a sign up in the back. We don't have it this week, but we want everybody who wants a certificate of membership to have one. So, and we want to update our records, know who's a member and who's not. So we're going to start with Terry Mayer. And he is not here today. Where's your mom? Take your certificate. Jessica Hefferly, who's not here this morning. We're welcoming Abby Frazier, who is also not here this morning. Angelo Amendiniola. Hey, Angelo. And Serena Peterson. If you haven't gotten a certificate and you believe you're a member, we're going to have a sign up next week so that people who haven't gotten one, eventually everybody that's a member is going to get a new certificate, but we're doing this in little tiny outpourings of love because we believe that everybody should have a certificate of membership if they want one. So that's what we're doing. And that concludes my announcements, my introduction. Please stand as Chip and Bucky lead us as we sing, "We Are One."
We are one. We are one. I am two. We are one. And in this unity, we shall live in harmony. As peace has come, as we are one. We are one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome again to the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Traja Wiley, and I am a practitioner here and happy to serve you on the podium this morning as we do our invocation and meditation. And I brought my own glasses. All right, so join me. Let's say our gratitude together. It's going to be up here on the screen.
Grounding in truth brings me back to remembering,
And
I am so grateful. And so it is.
So take a moment, take a breath. Let yourself be really grounded right now. Tell you a little bit about practitioners. We're licensed practitioners and we're the healing arm of our center. We're deeply committed to this philosophy and we must study for several years to earn our certification. We're here to pray with and for you. To fill out a prayer request, that there's a yellow sheet in the seat back in front of you. And you can also submit a prayer request on our website, grantspasscsl.org. We are dedicated to your confidentiality and healing. If you ever need prayer and spiritual support, please connect with one of us. For a short affirmative prayer, you can connect with us today or contact one of us for a professional practitioner session. Our phone numbers are in your program and on our website. And whether you have an issue to resolve or you just want to experience more blessings in your life, we are here for you, so please reach out. This morning, our table practitioner is Jamaica Wallace. She is here holding the high watch and knowing the good of this service for each and every one of us. And we appreciate that work. And I happen to know that those flowers came out of Paula Peterson's garden. She grew those. Very nice. Hey, is there anybody here for the very first time? I'm sure I saw some first timers, or if you haven't been here for a very long time, you're kind of like a first timer because a lot's changed over the years. So please raise your hand and Reverend Steve will bring you a welcome packet and it'll have some updated information if you haven't been around for a while. All right, cell phones. Please turn off anything that squeaks, beeps, or makes any noises. Appreciate that. And let's read today's prayer together. There it is.
With compassion, I forgive myself of any wrongdoings and feel the love of God directing my every step. And so it is.
Let's sing I Am Love. Go ahead, remain seated. Gently. And indeed we are. So we have an interesting talk coming up this morning and some characters that you might not be completely familiar with. Now, the beauty of mythology is that it invites us to reflect on our own lives and experiences by connecting with mythical characters and their journeys, not necessarily mythical. Some people believe it's true.
but our mythologies are what kind of gives our cultures a fabric to be woven into. By connecting with the mythical characters and their journeys, we can draw parallels to our own challenges, aspirations, and personal growth. This introspection encourages self-reflection, empathy, and the exploration of our own questions and identity. In today's message, Reverend Steve will explore a story about some very interesting characters. I'd like to set the stage and introduce them to you. In Hinduism, Shiva is a primary deity who represents transformation. Through destruction and restoration, Shiva reminds us that endings are beginnings and that our world is constantly undergoing a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Kali, how many of you have seen pictures of Kali? She's fierce, right? Kali is the Hindu goddess of death and time. Something I think America in general has a little trouble with. Kali is the Hindu goddess of death and time. She's often associated with sexuality and violence, but is also considered a strong mother figure and symbolic of motherly love. She embodies Shakti, feminine energy, creativity, and fertility. Kali comes from the Sanskrit root word kal, which means time. There is no physical thing that escapes the all-consuming march of time. As an embodiment of time, Kali consumes all things. Kali is a goddess of death, but she brings the death of the ego, which is the illusion of reality that we create by our own self-centered perspectives. Together, Shiva and Kali teach us to overcome the I am the body idea by reinforcing the awareness that the physical body is a temporary condition. Shiva and Kali are said to inhabit these places because it is our attachment to the body that gives rise to the ego. Thus, they teach us that we are one with the eternal I am and not limited by this body. Let's take a moment. Let's just take a moment to think about transformation, rebirth, and that process in between can be so turbulent. Take a moment to recognize birth on the other side of that. Take a nice deep breath with me. Our invocation this morning. We pause now to recognize that there is only one thing happening, only one. And we, each and every one of us individually, is a part and a manifestation of that one thing that encompasses all beingness, birth, death, life, recreation, expression, creativity, and every experience that we embody while we're here. We're so grateful for this opportunity to dance through life mattering, and how much we recognize that in the end, not much matters at all. Just knowing that we are indeed one with all that is. So with gratitude, we bless this service, we bless this time, and we bless one another, knowing that we are all connected, and it is good and very good for all of us to be here together. And so we release this word and this time into that living, loving law of mind that is always yes, and affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Thank you. Now, how about some special music from Chip and Bucky, followed by a very interesting message by Reverend Steve.
This is a favorite song of mine, and you know it's interesting. We sing about we're one, and and the universal spirit. And years ago, well, he was still one of my mentors. He was a senior professor at the Yale Divinity School, and he translated 2 definitive translations of the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Old Testament, there is a woman personage who is described exactly as Kali. And Kali wore a garland of severed heads and a belt of severed hands to remind us that those things are ephemeral. Hey, hold on, man, now. Too out of control. And we took a train trip recently, had dinner with the young Indian couple, and we were talking about comparative religion. Said, you know, they said that Timothy, one of the disciples, got to India. And they go, of course. Well, of course, he was everywhere. He was all over India. So people around the world have a lot of that same consciousness. And this is a song about doing what needs to be done, as Shiva did.
It's a post, yeah, song. Please sing along.
Well, I learned last child, 2 ways to see. World as is and how to be. Some people say that's just not my problem. Some people do what must be done. They see the hole in the fabric that must be sewn. They see the way blockaded and they roll back the stone. They see the way beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Some people do what must be done. They do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. I see the cold taking them to the shed. I see the journey started and through the spread, and they just say that's still just not my problem. They do what must be done. They see the hole and the fabric that must be sewn. They see the way blockaded and they roll back the stone. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. I say some people do what must be done. You know they do what must be done. They see the day beyond the horizon, and they do what must be done. Some people do what must be done. They know they do what must be done. They see the way beyond the freedom, and they do what must be done. They clap us now. Some people do what must be done. You know they do what must be done. They see the way onward, and they do what must be done. They see the way on that long road to freedom, and they do what must
Bucky. Let's hear it again for Chip and Bucky. Well, good morning. So yeah, I got comments on my shirt. The name of this shirt is Crazy Train. And if you know anything about my background, you'll know what that means. Well, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. This theme this month is Speaking Truth to Circumstances, and today's title is Standing on Shiva. You know, there's a Hindu story of a battle taking place between the gods and the demons. The demons are winning, and the gods turned to Durga, known as the goddess of compassion and mothering, to do something. Will you do something, Mom? Wait till your father gets home. No, not in my family. My mom took it into her own hands to deal with. Dad was the soft one in my family. Out of her forehead sprang the fierce warrior god Kali, goddess Kali. Kali proceeded to destroy the demons, but in her frenzy then began killing everyone. You ever done that in your life? You ever been in like a really challenging meeting and then you went and took a phone call and you gave them what for? Even though it was not necessary, but you took the energy from where you were into another situation. We've done that. That's why we need to decompress after certain experiences, because we don't want to carry it over into an innocent situation where we may project some of the leftover residual energy. Shiva, the destroyer of illusion, threw himself under her feet, allowing her to come to her senses and stop mindlessly killing everyone. You know, when we go to war with conditions, we can get lost in the battle, forgetting our real purpose. You ever done that? Like you're so upset about something that it takes over your complete consciousness. And then when somebody says, well, what is upsetting you so much? You go, well, I don't really remember what that was. All I know is I'm very upset now. We have that. That happens. Grounding in truth brings us back to our remembering. That's why we need space between our spaces. That's why we need meditation. That's why we need to connect with source energy and bring us back to center. If we don't go back to our source, then we spin out of control. Grounding in truth brings back that remembering. So what grounds you in truth? Coming on Sundays to service, kind of get a reset for the week, or maybe you release something from last week that was bothering you. This is the spell of illusion, which can sometimes drive us completely crazy. You ever been out of your mind crazy? Like, lost it there, whoopsie. Could have used a feather and instead used a baseball bat, you know. If 1 coat of paint is good, 5 gallons is better, you know. Cover it, do it. You know, there's so much to do. So many demons in life to slay. We can get pulled away from our knowing of the truth. And this happens to us all the time. That's why a spiritual practice can bring us back into alignment when we found that we have spun out of control in certain situations. And it happens. It's part of the human experience is to get lost in the illusion. You know that each one of us right now is completely lost in an illusion. The grand illusion, I call it. Another reference to one of my favorite bands, Styx. the grand illusion. But deep inside, we're all the same. Listen to that song. Deep inside, we're all the same. All of us are the same energy. But you've been given life the way you want to live it. You get to choose. You get to decide what your favorite color is, or your favorite football team, or your favorite dessert. Now, you may have borrowed that from a neighbor or a family member, but it all comes down to you. So, as we remember our 10 spiritual principles, oneness, love, creation, spiritual beings, spiritual laws, heaven and such, we wake up from our craziness. I think that most of us in this room have found an awakening coming towards us. That's why we're here. Something is awakening us to know something more, to do something different than we've always done. We stopped killing off what we wanted to save. Practices such as meditation and spiritual mind treatments, self-awareness, especially working with a practitioner or a minister or a therapist, help us stay centered as we deal with life's changes and challenges. You know, we are all in the midst of a great challenge. Even though I know you've handled yours, you got it. But we're all in the midst of making our transition. Really. We're here for a limited time. Now, nobody knows how long that is, maybe some of us. But there's no barcode on your foot that says an expiration date. Because it doesn't expire. You don't expire. Now, maybe this physicality, is fleeting, but the hand within the glove is forever. But without a strong spiritual practice, we can get caught up in the latest cause for alarm and calls to extreme action. You've seen this lately in the news. It's like, oh, we're gonna get them. Oh, we're gonna need to band together, defeat the foes. There's always a new news story. There's always something to shout out at, some outrageous thing happening. And when we take the time to stand on Shiva, to stand in the truth, we will see past the frenzy. But we need to see past the frenzy. Don't get caught in the illusion. Don't get caught in the appearance. And it happens. But don't stay there. Past the illusion, past the thunder and the lightning, to the essence of the situation. And when we speak directly to the essence of a situation and say, show me your gift, give me your wisdom, then we're not bound to repeat it. We've gotten the message. The message has been delivered. It's brought exactly the spiritual experience that you need to have for your ultimate growth. And what happens when a message has been delivered? The messenger disappears. That thing is no longer a problem or a challenge in your life because you worked it out, you figured it out. And if you didn't, it comes back around. Same song, different verse, a little bit louder, and a little bit worse. It will show you. It will show you that you need more healing. It is when we're able to create effective solutions that we have complete healing. Then we're able to apply the creative process in life-enhancing ways. What is the creative process? That symbol is the creative process in an icon created by Dr. Ernest Holmes, which If you have a textbook, you should look it up in the back, the creative process. And there are certain explanation of the emblem. I'm not going to get into it today, but ask me afterwards if you want to know what it means. It's kind of cool. So here's my 3 talking points. First, the Hindu story has served symbolically as the elements of life. First, the main demon has a gift that if cut, any drop of his blood that touches the ground results in a duplicate of himself. You ever had a situation that you thought you were healing and getting into it, you made it worse?
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I wish I had not even tried to take this on because now I've got a bigger challenge than I thought I did. This archetype shows up in many cultures, in many perspectives, and it represents the experience that no matter how hard we try, the problem, the challenge we're trying to solve just grows and grows. There seems to be no solution. And faced with this, we can become hopeless in our experience. In the story, the gods are losing hope and they turn to Durga. It is interesting that a goddess known for compassion is the one to whom they turn. Compassion is divine in the dictionary. A sympathetic consciousness of others' distress, together with a desire to alleviate it. Understanding that someone's in stress and actually giving them tools to walk through it. It's that second part, the desire to alleviate it, that moves compassion out of pity. We're called to alleviate the suffering of others and our own. And I would actually reverse that. We need to relieve our own suffering first, and then we can reach out from a place of love. If we're always reaching out, it's called codependency, where you're constantly trying to help someone when you are a wounded healer yourself. You need to tend to your own healing. Tend to, as Edwin Gaines says, tend to your own frog hunting. You know, make sure that you have handled what's yours to do before you attempt to assist someone with their challenge. Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind on page 107 said, "The world has learned all it should through suffering." Wow. Okay, suffering's over then. No more suffering. 114 suffering ended. Was one of my teachers said that, you know, expanded consciousness is gonna happen, but suffering is the optional part. Now, I would say that suffering isn't optional in certain cases, but prolonged suffering is optional. If you keep it going past a certain point, you're just, you know, torturing yourself. But some of us need that. Some of us need that little extra torture because, you know, we feel that we're special, we're different, we're all. Callie bursts forth with the correct tools and tactics. She has a bowl to catch his blood and the ability to devour his duplicates. Wow. That's somebody you want in your life. Somebody that can run in and say just the right thing so that you don't continue to crucify yourself or others in certain situations and can transform it into a positive. That's what I believe this teaching is. It turns it back on yourself. It doesn't give you a savior. Well, it does. It gives you yourself as a savior. You know, when I first read the textbook and I found out that it was all on me and that I was, if I look at all of my challenges, that I was the common denominator in all of them, I threw that textbook right across the room. It's like, what? You don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know the trouble I've seen. If you had my ex-partner, you would know why I am this way. And then I realized that if I do take my power back, then I can own my own triumphs. They're not someone else's, they are mine. Just like my messes are mine. And back to kindergarten, say please, thank you, and clean up after yourself in life. Clean up after yourself. Secondly, idea number 2, the word evil is live spelled backwards. Perhaps we can use this metaphor to realize that there aren't any real evil people or evil forces in the world. Just people living life backwards. As best they can. Who uses this life force to create harm and devastation instead of creating joyful expressions and aliveness, love, peace, and harmony. You know, you got your 2 types of people. You got your builders, you got your wreckers. And the builders go around after the wreckers, cleaning everything up and making it right again. And at some point, the wreckers start understanding that their use of their energy is futile. And they start cleaning up their own messes. Kindergarten 101, please. Thank you. Clean up after yourself. This gives us an idea of how to overcome the experience of this so-called evil by flipping it into alignment with life. When we no longer provide a grounding for the idea of evil in our minds, we will see people and circumstances differently, just as Callie represents that expression of the divine mothering principle. Now, a mothering principle is not only feminine. It is masculine too. We are all both genders. You just happen to be a particular gender, whatever you decide that to be today. It is an expression of our infinite oneness, and you get to choose. Now, someone else may not like it. That's on them. Let it be their problem. You be you. You do you the best you can. And as such, we begin to have a different connection to life. Callie, she is able to absorb these seeds of the demon without allowing them to grow within her. As we become even more aware and grounded in our oneness with all of life, not only will the seeds that others want to call evil in our life no longer affect us, they will become so clear that we can absorb them before they create more fear, anger, and belief in separation. You know, there's certain people that we see coming, and we know exactly what their story is. But somehow we just keep putting ourselves in their arena. We keep putting up with their story. And sometimes it's our family members. How do you escape your family member with that story? Well, I would say we take the consciousness of a saint to fully embody that idea. But we can tend to our own frog collecting, as it were. Like Callie, we must be fierce practitioners of truth in order to be truly effective in shifting consciousness and thus creating new circumstances in the world. Thirdly, in this story, Shiva knows as the destroyer in the Hindu, is known as the destroyer in the Hindu tradition. He offers part of a trinity of creation, maintaining and protecting creation from destruction so that something new can emerge. Something new is going to come out of the challenge. There is something to be known. That's what healing is. There's something new to be understood. And when we understand it, a healing happens. Dr. Ernest Holmes reminds us in The Science of Mind on page 53, spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it is taken. It is constantly flickering in and out of consciousness. That's what it does. You know, a light bulb is flickering. It's just flickering so fast we don't see it. When we recognize that this too shall pass, we bring a calmness to our work. What if you knew that whatever you're working with right now, whatever your biggest challenge is, this too shall pass? What if it was past right now? What if it was over? You know, part of you may be going, don't take my challenge away from me, it's mine. I'm gonna argue for my limitations. Because if I can't have what I want, I can have substitutionary fulfillment, and I can have the pain of not having what I want. And we gotten stuck there. You know, it's just how my family is. You know, I'm just never gonna get it, so that's the pain I live with. No, you can disassociate with them. It's okay. It's okay to let it go to voicemail. You don't have to be a doormat for their experience. Doesn't mean you're not kind to them. It just means you're no longer the receiver of their negativity. You just change your energy. You ever, Tai Chi, you're working with energy and you just kind of, move it around or bless it on its way. That's what we have to do. We can take on causes, seek to improve the world and ourselves while realizing that the so-called demons we face will pass. This too shall pass. Our challenge comes in wanting instant gratification. We're in a microwave world, right? I don't want to put it in the oven, I want it in the microwave, I want it done in 2 minutes. But some things take a process that it's better to have in the oven. You get a more crispy dough in the oven than you would in the microwave. But we want it all now. I want the world and I want it now. While the eternity of the divine is present now, we would be blown into non-existence if it all expressed right now. If we knew everything there was to be known right now, we'd melt our faces. It's just like, that movie Indiana Jones, is it where they see the ark and the guys just melt because there's so much truth going on, they can't handle it. So you're supposed to turn away from the truth. I say no. If you're supposed to melt, man, let it melt you. Melt you into the next plane of existence so that you can at least have that fleeting glimpse of reality. Just as Moses was told not to look upon God, and Arjuna, upon seeing the fullness of Krishna, cried out that he wanted to return to his normal seeing. We must allow the flow of the divine nature to take place at a pace that we can handle. We need to spoon feed ourselves metaphysics until we're ready to, drink from the pipeline. When you first heard about these principles, just a little bit was enough, wasn't it? You're like, okay, I'm full of metaphysics for today. I have people around me that I start talking and they're like, I've had enough metaphysics for today, Steve. I can't help it. This is what I am. I talk everything is metaphysical. When you start to wake up and you see that everything is part of the experience of your transformation, the light is different. The garbage is different. As I say, music flies out of the dog do. When you see things differently, when you begin to awaken to your reality. So in conclusion, out of our compassion for the world, we must take action to alleviate the suffering. Without action, we're just pitying spectators, hoping and wondering if possibly some good will come along. What if we are that good? What if just seeing it rightly? We don't have to necessarily do anything, but if we can see things rightly, just introducing that idea to the mind will begin the process of healing. If we step into the challenge with someone, now two people need to be rescued. If you jump in to help someone who's drowning and you can't swim, you just compounded the emergency experience. But if you can run and get someone that can swim, you might save a life. So, our action will be far more effective if we understand what really needs to happen and what we can really do to seek a creative resolution. The old saying that if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail is to be kept in mind. If we are truly committed to creating a world that works for all, we will be called outside of our comfort zones. We will be called to use methods that we may not be familiar with. As we face circumstances, our first practice should be visioning. What does spirit, not my ego, want to express here? Then, what must I become and release to allow this vision to manifest? See, it's all self-work. There's only one of us here. When you have a healing, the world has a healing. This is how it works. You can't separate yourself from the you that is spirit. You can run, but you cannot hide. Finally, we must be patient. Be gentle with yourself and others. Just as if we were teachers in a school, we would compassionately find ways to support the learning of the slowest children. We must compassionately support the learning of those around us. Sometimes there are family members. We must find ways which may not be our way to reach people who are struggling and maybe suffering undue challenges because of their misunderstanding of a situation. So Ernest Holmes reminds us in what we believe. We are all sure to attain this goal sooner or later. It's up to you. And so it is.
So it is.
So it's time for us to follow our teaching and take a moment and go within and remember who we are. So I invite you to bring to the forefront of your consciousness of what you believe the power of creation is in your life. What is spirit? Spirit is that energetic, tingling, healing energy. It is the deepest part of yourself that knows that it knows that it knows. And as we activate and unify with that knowingness, with that source energy, goddess energy, great spirit, whatever you want to call it, Christ consciousness, something is activated within that unity of knowing that we are all one in the same. And as such, a natural healing is taking place right here and right now. I may not know what you're working with right now, but I know that the power of creation does. And as such, everything that needs to be known is happening right now. There is no out there. It's all in here. And as such, Connections are being made. New ideas are being created. Maybe something needs to be released so that something new can take its place. Maybe there's a new idea that needs to be loved, assisted, and transformed. In that transformation, we find ourselves. We are each in the midst of our own transformation. So I bless this time, knowing that something powerful is happening by means of each one of us, and how grateful we are for this transformation. My heart overflows with the love of the universe and being grateful for this teaching, for each and every individual, for ourselves. For we know that as we move forward constantly, healing is always happening in the mind, body, and spirit. So we let go. We release this word directly into the living, loving law of mind where it is already done. As we affirm it together by saying, so it is. Amen. It's time for our prosperity sharing affirmation. So if you'd like to take your gift or what you're offering and place it on your heart, let's recite this together. In divine circulation and generosity, I gladly and freely give my gifts to the center, and so it is. Shiva.
As Reverend Steve said, what moves pity to compassion is action. And like Kali, like Shiva, like so many of the myths and stories in all the religious traditions, I'm always interested. The only thing you're asked in Christian tradition, the only thing you're asked when you get to Brother Gates is how come you didn't help me? I said, well, I mean, I didn't know it was you. But you didn't give me any food, you didn't give me any clothes. Why didn't you do anything?
So here's Phil Oak's interpretation of that.
And I've loved this song.
All to
You know, I've loved this song for a long time, and I found it again in my book, and it was on mimeograph. or Santa, maybe play tablets, I'm not sure. Here it is, it's a great song. There'll be no place in this world where when I'm gone. I won't know the right from wrong when I'm gone. Won't find me singing all this song when I'm gone. So I guess I better do while I'm here. I won't breathe the grace out of the air when I'm gone. I can't be someone who's there when I'm gone. I won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't afraid when I'm gone. Days and nights will be the same when I'm gone. I can't hold a hand or ease the pain when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do while I'm here. Now my days won't be dances of light when I'm gone. And the evening mornings from my sight when I'm gone. Can't get my name to the fight when I'm gone. So I guess I have to live where I'm here. I won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone. And the evenings and the mornings they'll be one when I'm gone. I can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do while I'm here. I won't see the stars up in the sky when I'm gone. Can't hold the truth above the lies when I'm gone. I can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. No, I can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do it. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
Beautiful, wow. Contemplation song that is. Well, let's bless our offering today. From the love of pure spiritual energy, these tithes and gifts have been collected. They're evidence of our faith, our belief, and our ability to manifest in this world of form. They do good work in the world, blessing the giver and receiver, and they allow this, the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living, to be open and available to those who are seeking to remember who they are, and even for those who may not know that yet. And for this community is blessed. This community thrives with spiritual beauty, love, and compassion. So it is. So it is. Okay, it's time for our closing song. If you'd like to stand up, and we shall sing, we shall not be.
Yeah, we chose just the chorus. We'll sing it a few times, but it comes from a very old Negro spiritual that was adopted by the Civil Rights Movement, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and several other, many other causes during the time. And this is one that's about standing in community. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that standeth by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall
We shall not be moved. Just standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
It's time for our benediction, so please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening right now.
Something wonderful is happening right now.
Happening in my mind.
It's happening in my mind.
It's happening in my body.
It's happening in my body.
It's happening in the body of my affairs.
It's happening in the body of my affairs. I think it.
I feel it.
I feel it. I know it.
The way that it is.
The way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
It's just.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Awesome week, everyone.